These are the top 3 best free agency signings / moves of the 2024 NFL free agency. But before we get into that, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors over at Pinnacle. Pinnacle is the world's sharpest sportsbook and available to bettors in Ontario. Find what professional bettors have known for the last 25 years. Everyday competitive odds, your trusted sportsbook. Bet smart, bet Pinnacle. Must be 19 plus in Ontario. Please pay responsibly and not available in the U.S. Now let's get into it. TA, tell us your favorite signings so far for the 2024 free agency class.
Yeah, normally I wouldn't like guys who are playing premium positions getting contracts in free agency because that's not typically a winning strategy. But there's a couple of edge rushers that I really liked who got really cheap deals. One being Josh Uche staying with the Patriots. I was pretty stunned to see he only got $3 million for 1 year. There had to be something going on. I saw reports that supposedly he turned down another offer that was like $11 million. I don't know how real that is, but this is a young guy. He's 26 years old, gets tons of pressure. He's top 10 in pressure rate last year. He had a 19% pressure rate in 2022 and 12 sacks. His sack numbers dropped a little bit a lot last year, just 3. But some of that is, as we know, sacks can be fickle and pressure is a little bit more sticky from year to year. So I thought he would get a better contract than that, especially at his age. But I thought it was a really nice get for a Patriots team that's clearly rebuilding. And then the second edge rusher I liked in free agency was the Andrew Van Ginkel signing by the Vikings. I thought it was a really nice, secondary pass rusher. He stepped in last year with the injuries to Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb in Miami. And it was top 12 in pressure rate at 8 sacks. He was 7th in PFF pass rush grade with a 90. He's got 3 straight seasons with a pressure rate above 10%, which is essentially above average there. He's got, cliche aside, high motor. The guy he's pretty relentless, gets after the quarterback. I mean, he's a smaller edge, so he's going to get pushed around a little bit. He's not the greatest run defender, but in general, I think for what they paid, I think it's 2 years, $20 million, 14 guaranteed. I thought it was a nice number for a secondary pass rusher like that who's been proven to generate good pressure. And then what was my third one? Oh, Diontae Johnson. I stuck him because obviously not a free agency signing, but I thought it was a good trade for Carolina that desperately needed a wide receiver who can separate. Obviously he had dropsies a couple of years ago, but that has normalized a little bit. And, not the greatest locker room guy in the world, but I think now that he's going to be the clear kind of top dog outside with Adam Thielen running in the slot, gives Bryce Young a weapon, a guy who can actually separate compared to DJ Chark and Jonathan Mingo and whatever they threw out there last year. So I think he's going to be a pretty productive player for Carolina. And for what, the free agency market for wide receivers is really, really poor and historically has been a kind of a wasteland of busts. You don't want to overpay. For free agent wide receivers, the trade market has been a much better path for success. So, not giving up much in return. Jackson in a late draft pick. I thought it was a nice trade for Carolina. They can still get another wide receiver with one of their extra picks that they got from the Giants in the Burns trade. So I thought all in all that was a really good move and smart move for Carolina.
Yeah, and they added some, like you said, they added some much needed wide receiver depth to that room. Probably going to be the top dog in that room, and only gave up. I think they moved back from a 6 to 7, so they only gave up like about a round and a half of draft slot for the Carolina Panthers. Eric, your three favorite signings of the free agency so far. I'm just going to bury the lead here and list them out. So you liked Bryce Huff, the edge rusher. He signed in Philadelphia, 3 years, $51 million deal for him. Azeez Al-Shaiir to Houston, 3 years, $34 million. And then Zach Moss, which I also really liked here, to Cincinnati, 2 years, $8 million deal. Tell us why you like those deals.
Yeah, I think Zach Moss just has a lot of characteristics that carry, and the guy that he replaced, Joe Mixon, has always just kind of been frustrating. I lived in Cincinnati for 5 years. Nothing took the air out of that stadium like Joe Mixon running the ball. Zach Moss, really good tackle breaking numbers, which generally carry over from one team to the next. He was really good in an Indianapolis team that wasn't really supporting their running back last year at times. I thought that he brought an added spark. He was always pretty good for Buffalo when he got the opportunity. So I think that he adds a lot to that Cincinnati offense. Bryce Huff, somebody where there's disagreement among people, right? Like he had a 20% pressure rate last year. 15% over his career. He's only started 7 career games. He's only going to be 26 when the season starts. So there's a lot of like good about him. The Eagles, who are a very sharp franchise in most things, although they did sign Saquon Barkley and they paid over $20 million to a guard per year, they're willing to move on from guys like Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick for him, which to me means that they're going to use, but they do have Nolan Smith. They do have, some other players there that are able to sort of complement him. I do think that they're going to use him properly. A lot of times when a guy goes from being more of a part-time player to a full-time player, we saw with Tony Pollard last year in Dallas, it can lessen their efficiency. He's got a long way to go from a 20% pressure guy all the way down to some these other rates to be an ineffective player. So I think there's a lot of margin there. I think the Eagles have built that in with the Bryce Huff signing. So I like that one, even though the dollar figure is high. They're not paying it's a little bit, it's not huge money for that position. And then Azeez Al-Shaiir, I was pretty surprised actually that he got the free agency and the Titans only signed him for a 1-year deal with voids, because he was a tackling machine last year, one of the top 5 guys in the league in tackles, but he was also an effective player. He always was for San Fran. He was always overshadowed by Greenlaw and Warner, but whenever either one of those guys was hurt, he stepped in and played well. He was phenomenal, I thought, last year for Tennessee's defense, wasn't good at all. And at times, like, there's like signals in the market. Tennessee going after Kenneth Murray and letting Al-Shaiir go, to me, I'm going to go the opposite of that and be like, Al-Shaiir is a good player. I really like that signing for Houston, who's done a really good job basically all offseason.
Yeah, they've done a great job bolstering up that defense with all the cap space they have with having that rookie contract in CJ Stroud here. Suuma, our last 3 favorite signings come from you. Your 3 that you gave to us here is Danico Autry, another Houston guy, 2 years, $20 million deal for him. Xavier McKinney in Green Bay, 4 years, $68 million. And then Colby Parkinson's, the first tight end god, 3 years, $15.5 million deals. Tell us why you like those deals this free agency.
Yeah, so let's start with Xavier McKinney. So Green Bay had abysmal safety play last year. They had to do something there. And I think Xavier McKinney, these guys usually don't hit free agency at this age. He's 24 and a half years old. He can basically do it all. He's coming off a great season. And I think that Green Bay, while desperately needing a safety, got a very good, young, versatile safety for the next 4+ years. So good signing while also plugging a major hole in that defense. Danico Autry, I love it even more after they got Daniel Hunter, because now they arguably have, depending on the development arc of Will Anderson, maybe a top 5 edge tandem next season. And now you have Danico Autry in the middle of that line who can really clog some space, eat up some space, be stout against the run, and really let other guys get into more one-on-ones. I really like that signing in DeMeco Ryans' defense. And then Colby Parkinson, I sneakily really like this because it fits very well with what the Rams want to do on offense. Tyler Higbee is a solid receiver, not a good run blocker at all. Parkinson is a much better run blocker, in my opinion. He can play in line, and he can also do some damage on all these play action concepts that McVay tries to run. Like, he wants to run 24 plays out of the same look, and Parkinson is like the perfect complement for this offense. Their one game with Kyron Williams last year was really good. Now they added more interior power. Colby Parkinson as an inline blocker. I think they are going to build up on that foundation, and at that price tag, really, really cheap in my opinion. And I would not be surprised if there's like 1 or 2 plays every week where Parkinson drops like a tight end league play wide open in the flat or something and takes it 30 yards.
He might not even have to be wide open. He's like, what, 6'7", 6'6"? I mean, he's a massive dude, and he's grown really well as a run blocker in the league so far. Going on his 3rd or 2nd contract here. Hopefully he can improve and move forward here. But that's just about it from us here. Let us know your favorite free agency signing so far in the comment section down below. We got tons more content like this coming your way throughout the offseason, so make sure you hit that like button and make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. We'll see you guys in the next one.